With Khabib Nurmagomedov retiring early and Anderson Silva stepping back in the octagon one more time, I thought it'd be a great idea to look at the 10 best UFC fighters of all time. Starting the list at number 10 is Amanda Nunes. Some people may not like seeing a woman on this list, but Nunes is the best female MMA fighter we have ever seen. She started slow, but the Lioness has superb wins over Chris Cyborg, Holly Holm, Maisha Tate, and Valentina Shevchenko twice. She has held down two divisions successfully over these last few years and will not fall anytime soon. At 9, I got the notorious Conor McGregor. He is the icon of UFC. In fact, I'd compare him to the like Mike in the NBA or kids wearing number 10 in soccer for Messi and Ronaldo. McGregor is one huge reason why UFC was put on the map in the last decade. Besides being the icon of UFC, he has the stats and records to prove he deserves to be top 10 as well. Early wins over Max Holloway and Jose Aldo, combining with some recent wins over Cowboy Cerrone and Nate Diaz, McGregor has proved he's going to be top 10. Number 8 is Chuck Liddell. The innovator of the ground and pound made Liddell a legacy by bringing new tactics to the game in a dominating way. In his prime, Liddell's reign was a wrecking ball. His force can be loosely similar to the prime of Mike Tyson. Nobody wanted to be in the same room as either one of them. The stats prove that too, with 15 quality wins and a 67% finish percentage. The only reason why he's not higher, though, is the losses at the end of his career that ruined his stats. Number 7 is Demetrius the Mighty Mouse Johnson. Johnson is considered the most prolific triple threat in UFC history. His speed, clinches, and striking game gave him a record of 33-1. His 3 losses came to Brad Pickett, Dominic Cruz, and Henry Cejudo, who he beat in the first matchup. The only downside was Johnson never reached for a second title. Number 6 is Matt Hughes. Before GSP, Hughes was considered the GOAT of UFC. Hughes was the most dominant fighter in the early 2000s and added jiu-jitsu with wrestling at the time. He dominated the welterweight class too with 7 title defenses to his name. Unfortunately, he does not crack the top 5 after being passed by GSP and a few more recent fighters. Cracking into the top 5, though, is Khabib Nurmagomedov. Khabib is the best-looking record we have ever seen with 29-0. Khabib's retirement can be compared to Barry Sanders, too. They were both in their prime and cut their careers short. If he comes back, though, he could be jumping up these rankings. After all, Khabib's fighting style and record can easily be debated as the best UFC has ever seen. Number 4, Fedor Emelianenko. Fedor never truly fought in the UFC, but his consistent success is possibly the best seen. Unfortunately, since he never fought in the UFC and missed fighting some of those key figures, he does not crack the top 3. However, 27 consecutive wins, 13 quality wins, a finishing percentage of 76%, and being the best heavyweight UFC has ever seen makes him a surefire lock at number 4. Number 3, though, George St. Pierre. GSP is the best wrestler and possibly the best all-around UFC fighter ever. He has the 3rd best quality win percentage at 87.5%. Plus, people argue he never lost a round to many top 50 UFC fighters of all time when they were all in their prime. Some examples include Nick Diaz, BJ Penn, and Dan Hardy. The welterweight domination will never be the same, but with one of the largest upsets ever against Matt Serra and injuries piling up, GSP cannot continue his legacy. The number 2 best UFC fighter of all time is John Bones Jones. Despite the controversy surrounding his name, Bones Jones is in the argument for not only GOAT status, but the best fighter when they're in their prime. Jones' recent fights have not been as entertaining, but he did not just beat fighters in the past. He killed them. He has dominated 7 future Hall of Famers and only 1 loss, which came from Matt Hamill in a DQ where Hamill struggled to stand after his win. He's tied for the highest quality win percentage at 88.8%, and Jones can still add to the resume and near number one. Last but not least, the number one pound for pound all time, the GOAT, Anderson the Spider Silva. Some of Silva's records still hold by a wide margin. What are some of those records? 8 consecutive title defenses, 9 finishes in title fights, 2,457 consecutive days as a title holder, 10 title defenses, and many, many more. His fighting style was so unique, you were caught thinking about what he did a few strikes ago, while he was thinking about his opponent's next 3 or 4 moves. Silva's IQ will never be surpassed. Plus, his legacy lasted from 2003 to the present. His impact came early, often, and has lasted longer than any other fighter. It's hard to debate when the stats and longevity sit on your side, and that's what the Spider has.